Mr. Allen, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here this morning, and thank you also for meeting with our Georgia members and Senate yesterday. Just wanted to clarify one thing. I think that Congressman Scott had asked you about the co-share program. For some reason yesterday, and I wrote it down in my notes, but we were talking about $300 million yesterday, and you mentioned $150 million today. Which could you clarify what you think that program might benefit?
I mentioned both figures yesterday. $300 million is the total cost we estimate of ginning costs.
Okay.
150 would be the 50% cost share that had been discussed.
All right, good. Thanks for clarifying that. Also, you know, since our meeting yesterday, I've had a difficult time. I've met with dozens of our colleagues, both here on the committee and also with our colleagues over in appropriations and our industry leaders. And the first thing that I'd like to ask you is, you mentioned that the appropriators took away your broad authority to provide assistance under Section 32 of the CCC Charter Act. When did they do that, and why did they do that?
They have been whittling away on that for the last couple of years. I think there were concerns about the ways in which we were utilizing that authority to help farmers and producers during difficult times for particular segments and particular aspects of agriculture. So they have a blanket restriction. And you know, the reality is that when you have a blanket restriction, you have situations like this where there is a need for flexibility, and I don't have it. And I would also say, Congressman, as I said earlier, fine, if they have concerns about me, but they have to understand that this appropriations bill is more likely going to be impacting the next secretary, so they ought to at least give the next secretary the flexibility.
Exactly, and of course that's been since FY 212 that it's included a right of preventing you from using that. And in talking to the appropriators, many of them believe that it was because of a Senate race in Arkansas and the providing assistance there to, I mean, is any truth to that?
There were farmers who were suffering significant problems in the state of Arkansas and surrounding areas, and this was an effort to try to provide help and assistance at the request of those producers and at the request of members who represented them in Congress, which is not different than what is happening today on cotton.
And this was not a direct request of Senator Blanche Lincoln's failed 2010 Senate reelection bid?
Well, she was the chair of the Ag Committee, and obviously she made a request in her capacity as the chair and as a senator. Okay.
Now, the other thing that I'm having a hard time doing, and we'll try one more time, but I've carried the conversation we had back to our industry leaders and members, colleagues on the committee, and we've got this difference of opinion as far as cotton is concerned. Obviously, lint is part of cotton. We export 80% of our lint. Cottonseed is a part of the, and we export less than 10% of cottonseed. It is my understanding, and this is testimony by a former chairman here, that you say that Congress expressly removed the eligibility of cotton for ARC and PLC assistance. It's true that upland cotton is no longer a covered commodity, but that completely misses a major point. The prior designation of upland cotton as a covered commodity only impacted cotton lint. Cottonseed has never been a covered commodity.
It's been, when we were structuring the STAX program, the industry requested that STAX cover cottonseed.
Do we have evidence of that? Can you get me evidence of that?
Well, I can get you the folks who at RMA.
Okay, because I can't seem to find anybody.
Well,
that
no, hindsight's always 20/20. And the reality, let's be candid here. The reality is that at the time this Farm Bill was being put together, everyone was operating under the assumption and belief that they needed to save $23 billion. And choices and issues had to be factored, and it was a lot of give and take. And cotton was also faced with the Brazilian cotton case and the retaliation that faced us as a result of that.
I understand.
And decisions were made
Yes.
to create this program, and there was no effort at the time to include cottonseed in the list of all the other oil seeds that were known at the time. So look, we have already expressed a willingness to help the cotton industry, so there's, you know, if I believed in good faith that I had the ability to do this, I would do it. I do not believe in good faith I have that ability.
Well, what we believe is we expressly gave you the authority to designate other oil seeds at your discretion.
You gave me the authority in situations where oil seeds crop up in between farm bills that were not fully appreciated and not aware. We've never, ever exercised this particular provision in the way that you're asking us
Well,
to
you've got to
exercise.
give me more to go on, because I'm having a very difficult time explaining that to my farmers back home who are
Well,
going out of business. Thank you. I
We'll be
yield back.
happy to help them.